Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with lesson 6.7. And this lesson, the objective of this lesson is we will add and subtract mixed numbers with unlike denominators. Go ahead and tell your partner, the objective is?
We will add and subtract
Okay, very good. Let's go ahead and start by unlocking the problems. Everybody read with me. Ready, begin. Denise mixed 1/4 ounces of blue paint with 2 1/10 ounces of yellow paint. How many ounces of paint did Denise mix? So remember, this we always every time we have a word problem, you will circle the the numbers that we're going to use. What numbers are we going to use?
1/4 and 1/10.
Good. And what is the question?
How many ounces of paint did he mix?
Very good. Now, based on the question, what operation do you think we're going to need to solve this problem? To do, Jacob.
Add and subtract.
Well, add or subtract. Which is it? Adding or subtraction? It says Denise mixed 1/4 ounces of blue paint with 2 1/10 ounces of yellow paint. So are we putting together or separating?
Together.
So that means that we're going to add. So it's going to be an addition problem. Now, look at the fractions. Do they have the same denominator? No. And you always want to look at that because can you add fractions with different denominators? No, you cannot add. So we're going to go ahead and solve the problem. And a good practice is to do an estimate. Why is it good to estimate? Tatum. Yeah, you get a good idea what your answer will be. So that way you can check, oh, I'm on the right track. Oh, no, my answer is way out, wrong. So let's go ahead and it says to find the sum of mixed numbers with unlike denominators, you can use a common denominator. But we're going to start by estimating the sum. So we have 1 whole and 4/5. 4/5 is close to? A whole. Okay, that's our benchmarks are 0, half, or 1. So 4/5 is close to 1, and I already had a 1. So 1 plus 1 equals? 2. And then we have plus 2 and 1/10. 1/10 is closer to 0 or a half? 0. So I'm only going to use the whole, which is 2. What's 2 plus 2?
4.
So my estimation is that my answer is going to be pretty close to 4. And that's a review from a previous lesson, right? Now, step number 2, find a common denominator. Use a common denominator to write equivalent fractions with like denominators. And that's basically what we've been doing all this time. So, my first step is to find a common denominator. So I write my multiples to find a common multiple. I'm going to start with 5, 5, 10. Oh, and I recognize that 10 is the same multiple as my other fraction, right? So what's my common denominator? 10. So I'm going to go ahead and write 10 on the side. And then I'm going to also include my my whole numbers, 1 and 2. Now I need to find the equivalent fraction. So I can do that by looking at the denominator, right? And I say, okay, 5 times what number will give me 10? 2. So 5 times 2 equals 10. If I multiply 2 to the denominator, now I need to multiply 2 to the numerator. And what's the numerator?
8.
So 4 times 2 equals 8. Same, the bottom one stays the same, right? Because we didn't do anything to it. It has the same denominator. Can we add now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can because we have the same denominator. What's 8 plus 1?
9.
And then we keep the denominator, just carry it down. And now we add the whole numbers. What's 1 plus 2?
3.
So that's 3 and 9 tenths. So Denise mixed 3 and 9/10 ounces of paint. Now compare your answer to your estimation. It was really close, right? 3 9/10 is almost 4. So that means that we rock. All right. Okay, So let's go ahead and turn the page and let's do another example before we try one on our own, and then before we do the checking for understanding the etc. Okay, so in this case, however, we're going to subtract. So let's estimate the difference, okay? 4 and 5, 6. 5, 6 is close to 0, half, or 1? 1. So 1 and then add it to the whole number? It's 5. Minus, and then we have 2 and 3/4. 3/4 is close to 1 as well. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. So that will be 5 minus 3, and that equals 2. So my estimate of the difference is 2. All right. Step number 2. Find a common denominator. Use a common denominator to write equivalent fractions with like denominators. So we want to find that common denominator, and we have to write our... Yeah, and we do that by finding the... The common multiple is found by writing the... And we find the least common multiple by writing the multiples. Right? Multiples of 6 and multiples of 4. So 6. What goes after 6?
12.
What goes after 12? 18. Can I stop there, you think? Yeah. Okay, let's do 4s. 4.
8.
Next.
They have the same.
Bingo! I see a common denominator. 12. Gling, 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 gling. What? You want to play bingo? I have division bingo.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe another day. Okay, so so you want to keep your whole number. So rewrite your whole numbers, and then we're going to write our common denominator, which is, what's our common denominator, Rodrigo? Oh, okay. Everybody's Rodrigo. All right, and then and now, okay, now we need to write the equivalent fractions. A lot of you in the test, we're still having trouble with equivalent fractions. So make sure that you watch this video maybe a few times. You can repeat it only in the part that you need, because this will also be on the
State test.
and
Math test.
and the last test for this unit chapter.
Oh, okay.
So you're going to see it again next week, to be exact. I think we're going to take the chapter test on around Thursday or Wednesday of next week. Okay, so 4 times what number equals 12?
3.
3. So I'm multiplying by 3. If I do that to the denominator, I do that to the numerator. What's 3 times 3? 9. Now let's do the top one. See, this is my equivalent fraction for 2 and 3/4. Now let's find the equivalent fraction for 5, 6. 6 times what number equals 12?
4.
6 times 4?
No,
2. 6 times 2 equals 12.
And then you multiply.
And you do that to the top. 5 times 2 equals 10. So now I subtract. 10 minus 9 equals?
1.
And I keep the same denominator. And now I subtract my whole numbers. 4 minus 2?
2.
2. So it's 2 and 1 12. So,
Really close.
and 2 and 2 1 12 is really close. So that means that my answer is good. I'm sorry? Why 2? Because I subtracted my whole numbers. 4 minus 2. So this is very similar to what we've done. The only difference is, and if you go back to the objective, is that I am subtracting and adding mixed numbers. What is a mixed number?
A number that.
A mixed number is when we have a whole number and a fraction. But other than that, it's the same thing that we've been doing previously. So it's good because you get more practice, and we can work on those areas that you need extra help. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and practice. We're going to end the video. We're going to say thank you to our audience, and everybody's going to say thank you. All right.
Right. Well, we're going to see our